Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and in this episode, I get the pleasure of talking to Jordan Jackson from Bodacious Barbecue. It is in Longview, Texas. They refer to it as a Bodacious on Mobberly. I can't even pronounce it. It's such a great. It's an hour interview, so it's a long one, but it's full of information. He is so knowledgeable. He comes from a culinary background, went to culinary school. We get into his history. We get in way deep into his history. Bodacious, as you know, is a chain of sorts, but this one's a special one. This one actually was ranked number 4 on Texas Monthly Barbecue Top 50, which is a huge honor. We get deeply into that too, and his reaction, and it's honest and straightforward, and how they had to change their parts and change how many briskets and pork ribs and everything that they're doing, how they had to change instantly that Tuesday, because it came out on a Monday and they're open on Tuesday, and they're open Tuesday through Saturday. We talk about boudin and what it's all about and how you make it, and they make a ton of different sausages, and the rest of his team, they're all chefs, and it's just super interesting. I know you're going to love it. If you do like what you see, please subscribe. I didn't want to talk too much on this because just let's jump into that. Well, good morning, Jordan. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy New Year.
You too. How's the weather been there?
You know, it's been unseasonably warm, but today and tomorrow, I'm in Los Angeles. It's raining. How is it there? You guys had it. It
It
was really cold at one point, right?
it was. It's actually kind of warmer today, but it's supposed to be coming back, but not near as harsh. So that ought to be good.
You get a pretty good winter. I was there one winter for December and January, and it was legitimately cold.
Uh,
Maybe for me, for not maybe not East
it
Coast
depends
cold.
on who you ask.
Yeah, not East Coast cold, maybe. So what is a typical day? I know today's your day off, right? Ish.
Actually, prep day.
Prep day.
Start cooking, trimming briskets, making sausage, doing deposits, all that good stuff. You know, paperwork, and it's it's a really relaxing day. And I lock myself in this building and try not to let people know I'm here. But with smoke coming out of the stacks, people are always, "Are y'all open?" No.
Are you open, or there's just those curious like barbecue fanatics like me that would want to, like, hey, let's chat for 20 minutes.
Well, there's like a big cage on our door, on the front door. Like you can't
Okay.
access it, and people still try to get in. It doesn't matter.
That's so funny. So wait, what would a typical day, like, let's say on Thursday, what would that be? What time are you getting in there?
Depends on who you ask. I try to get here in the
That's
5 o'clock hour. I haven't been doing very good getting here as early as I should. And that's why I have Scott and Brian.
okay. That's true. They're good.
um, but I typically try to get here in that hour. And then it's just checking out orders. If we have caterings and stuff like that, we start getting all that prepared and start staggering food. We stagger everything as we throughout the day, just putting it on.
What are your hours right now? What are your hours?
We're Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to sold out or 5, whatever
Okay.
happens first.
Do you get to 5 often?
Yeah,
Good.
we do. I mean, we've been getting a little bit more aggressive.
That's smart. Yeah, because especially with a lot of the press and stuff, it's some.
Yeah, it's something that we try to make it to 4. From 4 o'clock on, I don't care. It's
That's
that's kind of like you're bad for getting here this late.
well, I know. Yeah, I know that is funny, especially in Texas. If that was any other place in the United States, people would expect food to be like a full menu at 4:30.
It's one of those things to where in Longview's really never had a sellout barbecue joint, and I thought it was going to be a lot harder of a road to climb, with the general public, but it's actually been pretty good. People are understanding, and we always let them know that we're trying to give you fresh meat, not reheating stuff. So,
And that's the essence of
yeah,
why that exists, and I guess people are starting to maybe understand that everywhere, that fresh food, there's
yeah,
something there's
yeah,
something much better about fresh food. So
of course.
what's your background? Can you explain a little bit too about Bodacious, because I know that that's what your father-in-law's was. That is that
Yeah,
how that
yeah.
connection
He
worked?
it's such a complicated story. He
Sorry.
he started he started so long ago with his parents had a cafe called Lindsay Cafe and somewhere in Dallas, and
Okay.
they would do barbecue on certain nights, and he was the one that would cook it when he was like 15. And
Oh wow.
he's now like 78, and still, I mean, he's cooked barbecue almost every day of his life
Oh,
since he was 15, and I don't think there's anybody better than him. But so he owns uh, some barbecue places around Dallas, and this was before briskets, you know, he was cooking like plates. So then he's on burger places in between and all that kind of stuff, and then I think in 1965 he got this building I'm in, and it took him a few years to get into it.
okay.
And once he did, Bodacious kind of became Bodacious
Mm.
out of this store, and it was Little Roland's Bodacious Barbecue when he first opened here.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Um, then they dropped the Little Roland's and just became Bodacious Barbecue. I guess it's a little bit more marketable that way.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little easier. It rolls off the tongue a little easier.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a tongue twister.
And
So,
then from there, did he come up with the idea to kind of franchise out a bit? Is that kind of how?
well, I don't think it ever turned out. It never was intended that way. He
Okay.
had some brother-in-laws that would work with him and kind of wanted their own little barbecue places, so they opened some. I
Okay.
think the next one was open in Mount Pleasant, Texas, and his brother-in-law Bob ran and owned that one, and then he had a brother-in-law named Gary Adams, and I believe he opened up the Sixth Street store and pretty much turned that one over to him. So it just kind of started growing that way, and I don't think he ever intended it for it to be like that.
That's interesting. I guess some things like that happen sometimes where it just kind
It
of
did.
snowballs and then there's
He
not.
he was real famous for he would go to a town and open up a store and then run it for a year, and somebody would always want to buy it, and he just give it to them as long as they bought the spices and sauce and stuff from him, you know, and paid him his money. He was cool.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so interesting.
Yeah, he's he's a character.
Well, then were you eating barbecue? Were you even eating at Bodacious prior to like when in your early part of your life? Were you cooking a lot of barbecue? I know you went to culinary school, but did you?
You know, I didn't. I always ate Bodacious growing up since I was a kid. It was like the only barbecue we knew, but
Okay.
he used to feed my dad in like 60, 67, 68, stuff like that, because my dad lived down the street and he
Okay.
worked down the street from here. And my Roland remembers my dad as a
Oh,
customer, and that was pretty cool.
that's really
And
neat.
my uncle, who lives in Henderson, Nevada, every time he comes in, he goes straight to Bodacious, and he's in his 80s, so he, you know, it's been a tradition for a long time for my family. And but for me,
Yeah. Were you into food? Were you into bar? Like, are you
I've,
obviously enough to go to culinary school? But-
yeah, I've always really been into food. Growing up, I was more into steak. We ate a lot of steak at the house,
Mhm.
and I didn't live in much of a barbecue house. And then I started working here right out of high school when I was working at a television station
Oh,
at this store, and I kind of ran the register and stuff, and I liked it. And I'd always had food jobs, and I've always been a good cook. But so I worked here, and then I had to quit working here because they needed me to move to the night shift, and I couldn't do it for
okay.
my other job. So I left, and then I came back in 2009, and I helped my sister-in-law's brother run it. And
Oh,
that's where I met my wife, was here the first day we got the key in 2009.
oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was kind of barbecue's kind of been good to me.
Yeah, it seems like it definitely.
And I got to work with her and kind of, you know, it went from there. And so
Did you go to culinary
I
school in Austin, or was it?
I did. I did. I never had intentions for high end food. I wanted the technique,
Mhm.
but I really wanted to open up like a diner, like you would see on diners, drive-ins, and dives, and
Mhm.
do like funky food and with smoked food twists and stuff. And but I'd always come back to barbecue because I knew the business, and I worked in Austin at a place called Smoky Moe's,
Mhm.
and then I worked at the county line. Um,
Oh, okay.
the one on the lake. And tell you what, that place didn't get enough credit for the establishment it is, but I learned a lot at the county line, and I'm giving them a plug right now.
Nice,
It
nice.
was it
That's
was
really
great.
nice.
It was a really
People don't talk
well-oiled
about them that
machine.
much. People don't talk about them that
No,
much, really.
no, they were doing stuff way before all of us started doing it, carrying high-end briskets, and they were just doing a lot of great stuff, separating fatty from lean, and it
Hey,
it's
that's
it's not it's it's not I wouldn't say like what we're used to eating now, but man, when it was on its game, man, it was hard to beat. Some of the best sides and bread, and just incredible service. I learned a lot from there, and I'll never deny that.
so, I'd like to do some more research on that because that's something too. Like those are the roots of barbecue that people don't really talk about. They just kind of
Yeah,
talk about the last 10, 15 years, maybe, or 12 years.
man, and it's funny you start talking about trimming briskets just is a new thing, and Roland was buying Angelo briskets out of Fort Worth, I believe,
Oh,
and they would sell you trim briskets like the specs we use today in the late '60s, early '70s. I mean, and he said that they used to put them in when they would get done cooking, they'd put them in brown paper bags, kind of like wrapping them in butcher paper. It's
oh, hey,
they,
oh.
they've been all these things have been in place way before we ever got a hold of it, but it just became popular. I
It's
mean,
it's interesting. I'm friends with Tim McKeska, and we've talked about it. And he
yeah,
he said there was a time where people weren't interested in fatty brisket. There was a time where across the United States it was in like fats, like people were
hmm,
scared of fats in general, and so that was something that they just served lean, and that was just because people
of
wanted that.
course,
Yeah,
of course. It's regional too. People I mean, East Texas gets a bad rap for chopped beef, but I think chopped beef is a big part of East
hmm
Texas's culture, and I embrace it. I mean, yes, we work hard, we trim our briskets, and we work for that nice bark and all that, and it doesn't offend me to chop it up. I think you can make just as good of a chopped beef
oh
sandwich
yeah.
as you can a sliced beef, and I think people need to be more open to chopped beef. We're in a sliced beef revolution right now, but it
It's
all
a satisfying sandwich. It really is.
it is. It's so good. And Roland talks about these old plates back in the day. They were about 30 pounds, and they were like a mix of a brisket, short ribs, and I don't know if like a chuck or something like that. It was all on this with bones and
Oh,
crap all in it, and they chopped them up, and it just sounds like it was the best chopped beef sandwich you could ever eat. It was like how you have those blended hamburgers of
hmm
like short rib and
oh
brisket.
yeah.
It sounds like that,
Ah,
but the chopped beef version of it. And like, how could that be bad?
no, it can't. And actually, that's kind of funny. That would be an interesting thing to kind of bring back because that's
I'm trying. I can't find plates anywhere. Nobody sells them. It's a very rare. It's a unicorn of beef parts,
interesting.
I guess. They've separated the whole thing and started selling it three different ways now instead of
Okay, that makes sense.
all together. So we've got some leads on where we can get them, but I do want to actually bring it back because that's what started this place.
That would be phenomenal. That's really neat. That's please let me
That's
know.
that's my next goal
Okay.
is to bring the plate back. Something it's very to me it's like prehistoric barbecue.
Yeah, yeah. No, it sounds no,
I mean,
definitely. I think you're the second person that's ever mentioned that
yeah,
in general that I've
and
talked to.
like it was funny. Daniel Vaughn knows I think everything there is to know about barbecue,
hmm
and Roland told him about the beef plates, and then he started researching them and stuff, and like it's just one of those old. It was normal to him that to have that cut of meat. And he bought, I think, 1,000 pounds a day at 10 cents a pound,
Oh
and he
wow.
would get them at 10 cents a pound if he bought 1,000, and he sold every bit of it every day.
Whoa, that's crazy. That is really amazing. That's wow.
So, and then once the brisket started getting streamlined, I guess everybody's popularity started going towards them, and they're probably easier to handle and
Yeah, maybe
not
it's
so much. Yeah, he said they're tough to work. Those plates are. There's a lot of crap in them that you like bones and silver skin and stuff that you have to separate. But
so
the meat's very
a
rewarding.
lot more labor for it, but it's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So when you came back and you said 2009 is when or did you?
No, this was actually right before I was playing music professionally,
Oh, okay.
and I had signed up to go to culinary school, but then I fell in this band, and we were really successful with music on MTV and stuff. So I put culinary school on hold,
What band
and
was it?
they were called The Vehicle Reason.
Okay.
We had music on that show, The Hills,
Uh-huh.
on
Hey,
MTV, and
that's huge.
the Real World. We're actually on season 3 of The Hills. I believe we have 2 songs on there.
That's a big deal.
It was a big deal. It was cool, and
Yeah.
I'd always pursued music forever, and but I also really liked food. And I finally got fed up with music one day and just walked away from it. And then I signed up for culinary school. Like right after that, my girlfriend, who was now my wife at the time, said, "Why don't you pursue your dream of being a chef like you wanted to?" And I was like, maybe you're right. So I went back through and had to fill out all the paperwork again to go to Cordon Bleu in Austin, and I did it. And
Was it tough?
man, no, it was so much fun. I didn't
Oh,
even look
that's
at it
cool.
as school. It was it was such a great learning experience. Technique. I knew a lot about cooking, but the how and why, I
Hmm.
love the how and why behind it. And I think it's made me a better barbecuer by far,
I can imagine for sure. I mean,
being trained. And I've always wanted to make a shirt that said, chefs make better pitmasters. Just
because it's kind of
because
true.
I mean, some of the best barbecue I've ever eaten has been made
Hmm.
by trained chefs. And Scott, who's my right hand man, he had never even cooked barbecue until 2 years ago, and now I would say he's one of the best there is. And then Brian, the other chef that works here, we just got him in August, I think, or June. He's right there too. I mean, then they're both classically trained chefs, and I think I'm going to just hire chefs from
Yeah,
now
well, no,
on.
that's and you know what that there's a certain mentality that a chef has,
Hmm.
and it's also forward thinking because they probably and you as well think of new things and new ideas and new twists and why something
Well,
happens. Why because
that's exactly. And if you get somebody who's been doing high end with such great skills, they come in not knowing about barbecue, which is something as me who wants to teach somebody barbecue, you want to teach somebody who doesn't know
true.
so they don't already have their own opinions. And if you're trying to have a consistent product, like we all 3 cook all day together. We're all 3 constantly in communication because we have 4 pits running around, and we have to cook. 3 people have to cook as one to make it seem as if one
Hmm.
person pulled that meat off. And it's an orchestra, and it's a lot of fun. And being that these guys didn't come in with already having it figured out, like
Hmm.
I've already know how to cook barbecue. What are you going to teach me? No, these guys were like really wanting to learn technique of barbecue. And
That's
so
huge.
I taught
That's
them what I know. Doesn't mean it's right, but they can formulate what I've told them, and they can make it their own. But as long as the same product comes out at the end of the day, I don't care how they get to the point.
but when you came back, did you know barbecue or did you study more like or did you what did you do to kind of
No,
get that epiphany to
when I finished culinary school, I was working at Pink Avocado Catering in Austin, which is I loved catering, high end catering. It was a lot of fun to me because I didn't have to deal with the public.
hmm
I thought that was pretty awesome. But at culinary school, at the very end, I had to go to a job fair, and I didn't want to go because I had everything lined up. And I met this little bitty French chef out in the hallway from Savannah, Georgia, and he he convinced me to come to Savannah, and I did. And I worked at a Westin hotel
Oh,
as a banquet chef, and I moved there, and my relationship went downhill. And so I had to convince my wife to, you know, my now wife
uh,
to take me back when I moved back. And so Scott, who works with me now, he, I asked him, I said, "Hey, dude, you want to go to Savannah and finish culinary school?" And he goes, "Yeah." So we just literally, like 2 days after culinary school, we were in Savannah living in a hotel until we got a house. And we had his dog with us and all of our belongings in a U-Haul. It was terrible. We spent so much money trying to get a house. But yeah, I stayed there for 3 months, and I promised that I would come back home the day it was over with. Scott stayed on, so I did banquets there.
mhm.
Scott did high end. So I moved back to Longview to get my girlfriend to take me back, and it took a lot of wooing, and I got her back. But So when I got back here, I needed to have a job,
Mm-hmm.
and there's only like one decent high end restaurant in this town. So I applied there and got the chef job and did that. And I wasn't very happy
Mm-hmm.
doing that. I don't want to sit there and recreate a flounder dish, every 3 months and make a roulade out of it. It wasn't fun to me. So one day, Nick Pence's from Stanley's
Mm-hmm.
texted me and said, "Will you be my chef?" I was like
Whoa.
thinking about it. I'm like, "Yeah, I will." But it was weird because my wife's family owns a barbecue empire, and Nick also owns a barbecue
Mm-hmm.
place. But
And
I
that's in
had been
Tyler, right?
friends. It's in Tyler, and I had been friends with Nick long before I met my wife, and he had no idea the family I'd married into or anything. So I don't go around just bragging about that.
Yeah.
So I got my job there was to be a chef. I was going to do chef driven menus on Saturday nights and do plated dinners.
Oh
And
wow.
I was going to manage the kitchen and did all the food cost stuff, menu planning, all that stuff. It was all supposed to be that. But I had been cooking barbecue forever before that. And I tried to I'm going to be a chef and just focus all my energy on that. So one day the assistant pit master quit, and I just stepped in there and just started
Oh.
doing it and
Oh,
kept
I see.
doing it.
I see.
And then me and Jonathan Shaw, who is one of my favorite people on earth, we called ourselves Tango and Cash and barbecue. We had an amazing chemistry, and he was one of my favorite people to start to work with, and I would work with him right now if I could. I
And
mean,
that was all at Stanley's. That.
that was all at Stanley's, and then I had a I saw things different than our general manager one day, and I decided to leave and walk away from that job. So the day I left, I drove straight to my mother-in-law and asked her if I could open this store up, and she said, "Let me think about it." And I'm like, "Oh." She said, "I got some other stuff that you can do, with the other restaurants, like consulting and stuff." So I did that, and then I would come over here. I got a key to this place, and it had been closed for around 15 months because Roland had cancer,
Oh, okay.
and
I was
he
going to
wasn't
ask you
doing
that.
good. Yeah, he wasn't doing too well, and he's got a pretty good, clean bill of health now. But
Good, good.
once we knew, all that he was getting better, I came over here, and he had left this restaurant. It was like a time capsule. It was like impeccable condition. And I came over here and started kind of cleaning up dust and stuff, and then started writing menu and costing out everything and just putting everything into place and finding all my vendors. And we opened in June of 2015.
2015, and that was
And it was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at that point. So I didn't even have a cashier when we opened up. I don't get in a hurry about anything. So my sister-in-law was like, "I can help you." I was like, "Okay." So it was me and her and an old man named Glenn who kind of cleaned tables and washed dishes. So
so.
I'm cooking
What was your menu then?
everything.
What was that?
It was brisket. I carried Kreitz market sausage because I didn't have the capacity to make sausage at that point.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the menu. That's why I'm looking
Okay,
up.
that's okay.
I started out doing turkey, hot links, sloppy joes, ribs. I think I was carrying spare ribs at the time, and brisket. I mean, it was like 5 menu items, and I had free beans and potato salad. That was all I had. It was so small, and the word got out that we were fixing to reopen, and all of a sudden the whole town was like waiting outside when we opened
Oh
up at 10
man,
o'clock that first day.
that's okay.
Sold out at like 3 o'clock, and I cooked a lot. Roland was like, "Why you got all this damn meat in here? You're not going to sell all this in 3 days." And I said, "Watch me, old man." And I did it. I sold it all. And he was like, "You shut me up, didn't you?" Um,
How
and
many
I
smokers?
would,
How many smokers did you have at the time?
at the time I've got a warming pit, which is an actual pit. And then I had an upright vertical. and then a barrel pit. So that's all I had. I was cooking about 12 briskets a day and about 20 slabs of ribs. So I just kept thinking, oh man, it's going to be good. We're fixing to start making money. So of course, like anything else, the newness wore off, and then we started dialing back on pars and stuff. So I cooked every piece of meat and cut every piece of meat for the first 6 months. I mean, I'd have a line sometimes to the door, and I'd have to go pull ribs while people were waiting in line, and it was horrible.
That's so tough.
It was a good horrible, but it was like very frustrating.
It's not efficient either.
So Scott finally, I had been trying to get him to even come to Stanley's and work years before that, and he was like, "No, man, I'm in Jackson Hole, and I'm a chef at a ranch. I'm having too much fun." And then one day he called and he goes, "I'm ready to cook barbecue.
Oh wow!
Can I still come?" And I was like, "Yeah." When? He's like, "In 2 months." Yeah, do it. I was so excited, and then he moved from Jackson Hole and moved in with me until he got on his feet. And man, life's been amazing ever since he came.
When did you guys start making your own sausage?
I started. It was hard for me to make potato salad and sausage in a week because potato salad would take like 6 hours. And I always wanted to make the sausage, but I just didn't have time by myself. So I got over it one day, and I was like, I'm making my own sausage. And this is before Scott got here. And I tried making an all-beef sausage. And I was by myself, and I just finally said, whatever, I'm just going to make it. So I made an all-beef sausage, and I didn't like it at all. Texturally, it was terrible. So I donated it all to the mission. And the next week, I made a pork and beef blend out of brisket scraps and pork butt.
Okay.
And I cooked it, and I ate a piece that day, and I didn't like the way it tasted, so I was just going to cook it all, practice, making links and stuff, and then cook it all and give it to the mission. So I cooked some and set it out, and that old man Glenn that worked for me said, "Jordan, did you try any of that sausage?" I said, "No, I'm not going to." And he goes, "No, you ought to." And I ate some. I was like, "Damn, that is good. That's actually pretty great." And lo and behold, Daniel Vaughn showed up that day ate some of it. The first day I had sausage, like ever. And he ate it, and he was just like, "Man, you need to put that on the menu. That stuff's great." And now we make, and mind you, that was supposed to go to the mission.
Oh, wow.
To the food mission. But we now make about anywhere from 15 to 20 different kinds of sausage and about 10 different kinds of boudin.
But how many do you have at any given time? Do you have?
We always have our house sausage.
Okay.
And I named it our house sausage, kind of like whiskey, like you got a house whiskey or a well whiskey. That was the one we always have, so I just call it the house sausage. And we have that every day, and every Thursday we make one special sausage.
Okay.
And every Wednesday we make boudin.
And can you explain a little more about boudin? Because I was doing some research a couple weeks ago about it too, and it's not. I don't think everyone's familiar with what it is.
No, it's what it is. It's a rice-based sausage. It's not even really a sausage, to tell you the truth. It's we use a rice base, and we take a smoked brisket that we've already cooked, and we braise it with some vegetables and some juice, and we shred it and mix it in with the rice. So you've got like this meat and rice mixture.
Okay.
It's pretty close to each other in ratio of like how much of each there is. And then what we do with ours, we make burnt ends with another brisket, and we add that to our boudin.
Okay.
And that's ours, and we put some greens and stuff in it. But what traditional boudin was a way to get rid of like organ meat and blood and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they would mix it with the rice because these are all things that poorer people could afford. Mm-hmm. And it's like poor man's food. And, with all poor man's food, it always becomes everybody's food once
exactly. And then
the right people eat it. So we definitely don't do any organ meat in ours because I just don't think it would sell that well. But yeah, we did that burn-in boudin, and just now we have to make it once a week, or we we'll get run out of town if we don't.
And I think I even saw the photo from Daniel of the, and that probably didn't help by making it.
No, he sent some to. He got me to send some to David Farenthold from the Washington Post, I think.
Okay.
He's I guess a really well-known writer, and I sent it to him, and 2 days later on a Monday, he was bragging about the boudin on his social media. Then he wins a Pulitzer Prize that evening.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, holy crap. I guess our boudin is good. You know, it helps people win Pulitzer Prizes. And then
that's a good claim. That's a good claim to fame.
Well, then Matt Pittman, from Meat Church, I made some special boudin for him out of his pork belly burn-in recipe. And we did a collaboration, and he took it to the VIPs up at Memphis in May and did a catering. And Chris Lilly from Big Bob Gibson's ate it, and then he won grand champion. And I'm like, man, maybe our boudin is for winners or something.
I need to send you a check and have you ship some.
It was just funny, those two things. Now we're kind of famous for boudin because not too many people make it. I mean,
no.
I don't, especially in Texas. I've never had homemade boudin in Texas,
and I don't think I've even had it here in California at all. And you would think that maybe somebody would jump on it, but no.
It's different. It's definitely different, but it's great. We grew up on it.
Is it is it dense?
No, it's actually fluffy.
Because of the rice? Yeah,
like when you bust it out of the casing, it's hard to explain.
Do you smoke it? So then
we smoke it.
Smoke it again after all everything's already been cooked and then put in casing and then
then we chill it and harden it and then we smoke it the next day, and it's unique. It's hard to explain. I'm not the best at explaining stuff, but it's very unique.
I'm really excited to try it. And you have those on Wednesdays?
Only on Wednesday, but I can always have it. Okay. If people come to town or request it, we can always have it. And we've made pastrami burn-in boudin, where we've made homemade pastrami and changed the whole flavor profile of it. And we've done cabrito boudin. We've done out of like goat, roasted goat, and I can't even remember. I've done a turducken boudin at a class with Matt. I've done, I don't know. I've done so many of them. They're all kind of goofy.
No, that sounds great. What was it like finding out that you made the top 10 for Texas Monthly?
Still don't believe it. To this day, it's still hard to believe that a little town like this could have such a high honor with barbecue. I've always thought with Roland's barbecue, it's always been that good, and it's kind of, in my heart, he should have always been there, but it doesn't always work that way. But that morning I was at the sauce warehouse unloading a ketchup truck with a forklift. And so my mother-in-law and father-in-law got there, and it was about 7-something in the morning, and we were eating Whataburger taquitos and drinking coffee. And so I was fixed to have to come to work here for my Monday and start prepping. And it was almost 8, and I said, I'll just stay here and see what the list says. I knew we were on it. You
Top
never
50,
know what. You never know what the rest is going to be. So I hit refresh at 8 o'clock, and it brought up the list, and I read through it, and I was like, so they're not going to tell you who the top 10 is?
Yeah, it was interesting, the way it did.
The funny numbers on there, I didn't even realize that those were positionings on where you were.
Oh, that's funny.
And I read through it, and I was like, oh, man, I was happy for all these people that made it on the list. And then out of curiosity, I scrolled back through it, and I saw Franklin. He's up at the top because of Austin. It was in alphabetical order by cities. Yeah. And Franklin was pretty close to the top, and it had a number 2 beside his name. Yeah. And I was like, oh, my God, is Franklin? Who beat Franklin? So I'm like, then I realized it was numbers, and I kept thinking, oh, it's going to be Killens or Truth or Evie Mays or somebody. I was thinking, like, who dethroned him? Who dethroned him? And I kept going through, and I saw that Cadillac was number 3. I was super happy for Todd. Scrolling through, and Corkscrew and all that, and Tejas and Houston. And then I got to Lexington, which is before Longview, and it said Snows, and she was number one, and I couldn't have been any more happy because I just love Tootsie.
Yeah, Tootsie's amazing.
So kept scrolling up, and I saw Longview, and it said Bodacious and a 4, and I stopped. My in-laws were like, "What's up?" And I just looked up at them, and I said, "We're number 4 in the state of Texas," and they were like, "What?" Like, I couldn't even speak. I still, to this day, don't believe it. It's not that we don't work hard for it. It's just you're in the same spot that all these people you've always read about were always in, like Louis Mueller's and all these places like that. And Franklin, I mean, I'm in between Franklin and Louis Mueller, and I'm like,
that's amazing.
Why am I in between these two guys? And as far as the ranking goes, it's surreal.
Did business pop that day or the next day?
So I was looking at the list to kind of see where I needed to make my pars for the day because I knew we were in. I didn't even think about the top 10. So I was like, holy crap. I drove over here and I couldn't even think clearly. As soon as I got to work, there was 3 news stations and a newspaper here waiting for me. And I'm just, okay.
Oh,
I said, you're just going to have to get in line and we'll just do this one at a time. It was Scott's day off, and I just said, you need to get up here. We would normally cook 6 or 8 briskets on a Tuesday, and I think we cooked 20. Sold them all.
That's huge.
Bam. So we got up to that first Saturday. We'd usually cook 8 briskets on Saturday. I think I sold 40 of them by 2:30.
Oh, my gosh.
And and 70-something slabs of ribs.
That's insane.
There was like 50 people waiting to get in here at 10 o'clock, and it's 10 o'clock in Longview usually is a ghost town. And I don't know. It's still to this day blows my mind how amazing all that really is for us.
And the whole summer, I'm sure, was crazy with the Yeti program.
Yes. It's still crazy. We still get people on that, with the passports coming in every day.
That's amazing.
From all over. I've fed people from South Africa that were doing specifically that came over for the Texas Monthly deal. And I've fed a guy from Boston he flew in from Boston to eat at the top 10 barbecue places. And the last stop he was going to make was to meet Chip and Joanna from Fixer Upper.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
It was. If you would have saw him, you would have never thought that. But yeah, like it's such a brotherhood with people now. It's like whole families are coming, like 8 or 10 deep with their kids, and their kids are like rating you and stuff. It's really cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, and the photo. I'm sure everyone's taking obviously Instagram. Everyone's just going crazy with their cameras and.
I've had a 6-year-old. He had a grading scale, and he was in there, and he was real serious. And his dad was telling me about how he grades everything, and he looked at me and he goes, "He gave you the best score that he's ever given to anybody." And well, thank you.
That's an honor. That's an honor.
That meant more to me than like most of the people that come in here.
That's killer. That's amazing.
Yeah,
so what should people know about? Did you instantly call it Bodacious on Miss Mobberly? Is that how you pronounce it? Or?
Mobberly. I originally wanted to open it back up as Little Roland's Bodacious Barbecue.
Okay.
And I couldn't convince them to let me do it. It's hard because we have like 23 stores, and we're all share the same name and spices and seasonings and all that, but we all cook differently. It's all kind of like independently owned restaurants where you can do what you kind of want to, but as long as you're using the seasoning and spices, it's okay. Mm-hmm. So this store, ever since I worked here the first time, right out of high school, everybody that answered the phone would say Bodacious on Mobberly. Mm-hmm. Because, we've got one on 6th Street here, we got one on the Loop. And us who work here and are in the family, we just call them by the street name or the city name. Like you got Hallsville or Marshall or 6th Street or Mobberly. So we have kind of like a slang for them. And
just to make sure people are calling the right place too.
Yeah, because they're all geographically different. So this one's always been Mobberly. Nobody calls it Bodacious on Mobberly. Like in the family, you just call it Mobberly. Okay. So we always answer the phone as Bodacious on Mobberly. So I incorporated the name Mobberly into all of our social media and stuff, just because everybody's got their own social media stuff or most of them do for their Bodacious pages and stuff and websites. So
Does that get
it's not that
confusing
I
at
want to.
all for
It
people? Like,
does.
do people,
It
some
does.
people like go to the wrong place sometimes?
So many people on the Texas Monthly Trail have gone to the wrong store and gotten mad at me, and I'm like, my address is in the book, so
And
clearly it's not my fault.
it's not your fault.
But no, like I just want my sticker. I was like, you can at least eat something. I mean, if you're going to sit there and bash everything, you can at least try some of the food. And
Have some
they
sausage.
usually, yeah. I mean, hell, I'll give you a piece of brisket if you just eat it. So we have all the stores, and it's very confusing. It is. It's very confusing to outsiders. To me, it's just another day because I know all the people that own them and all that, but it will be confusing to somebody from Connecticut coming down, well, it said Bodacious, so I went to the one I saw, and they automatically do that. Or
They'll just like Yelp it or something, or like do something
well,
and not pay
yeah,
much attention.
or the way it comes up in Google, it might not be my store first.
True.
It might just be a Bodacious, and people automatically go to it and expect them all to taste the same.
That's true.
But I'm here to tell you, it don't matter how good your system is or how good a cooks you have. If you have 23 barbecue places, Aaron Franklin couldn't have 23 of them, make them all taste the same.
No way.
They're all going to taste different.
Even 5. That's would yeah.
Even 2. I mean, if
True,
you had them next door to each other, there would be different tastes in them. So they it is confusing. It is very confusing, and people will call about caterings and stuff. And well, I'm looking at your menu, and it says your brisket's like $14 a pound. I'm like, I can promise you, my brisket does not cost $14 a pound. And they're looking at different websites or whatever. So
I guess it's part of the business, like the day-to-day operation.
Or they'll come in like, I want some macaroni and cheese. I'm like, we don't sell macaroni and cheese. The other one does. Why don't you? Because we don't make it. So therefore, you don't get it. It's fun. It's fun. It doesn't bother me. It's just part of what
part of it. It's part of the day-to-day.
Yeah. It would, if it wasn't like this, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And we wouldn't have something to talk about. In that respect. What's Longview like, and how far away is it from Austin and from Dallas?
We are 120 miles east of Dallas on I-20.
Okay.
And we are about 260 miles from Austin. About 4.5, 5 hour drive. And Longview is a town that is growing very rapidly, and I would say our population is around 90,000 now.
Okay.
It's smaller than Tyler, geographically and population, but it's growing really fast, and we have a really good mom and pop heritage here. A lot of people who've been around since the 60s and 50s in the restaurant industry have still real close together, families and stuff. And
that's nice.
It's kind of like the old brotherhood. It's like the brotherhood of barbecue now, but there's like a mom and pop restaurant brotherhood, I would say, and I'm part of a group. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Are there places to stay if people want to come out? Is there a hotel out there?
There's tons of them. Okay. There's quite a few of them. Our north end of town looks like miniature Dallas. Everything corporate's come in, and it's being developed so fast. It's very nice out there. But I am on the complete opposite end of Longview.
Okay.
I am on the south side across the street from LeTourneau University, which is, I believe it's one of the best engineering and aeronautical schools in the United States.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I can throw a rock and hit their yard from right here. And I feed people from all over this world every day because of Komatsu down the street and LeTourneau and Eastman.
That's really
neat. I get to feed. I fed a bunch of people from Japan their first barbecue experience because of them coming in to visit, and it's cool.
How cool is that for them? Yeah.
Like, this is how amazing it was. I made them sandwiches. Some of them wanted sandwiches. They couldn't even speak English. And they were all sitting there staring at the barbecue, and there was one doing like hand signals to him, and he was saying, I think you grab it like this and eat it. Like, they all had chopsticks and stuff in there. That is like they had never eaten a sandwich in their life.
Well, you're the
Like
perfect spot for them to go for that first time.
that, it was so cool. That was a really cool experience.
That is awesome.
So
And they were visiting that company, right?
yeah, there's we feed a lot of people from Japan for due to Komatsu.
That's odd.
But Laterno, I mean, there's people from Australia, from all over Europe and Africa and all kinds of places over there that go to school.
When people come there for the first time, what are their thoughts? Like, is it?
A lot of people say, I really wanted to see what all the hype was about because I've eaten at a Bodacious before, and you get that spill or whatever, and then you got people who are just like so excited when they come in. They get to see so much history on these walls. This was actually a barbecue place before Roland had it. I mean,
I didn't know that.
It's like a 60-year-old building that's been added on to several times, but we have a lot of history on these walls, and it's not a normal new school joint. It's an old school joint with new school people running it.
That is so cool. That's so.
Yeah,
So do you have any classes coming up at all with Matt?
We had talked about doing another one in the spring. I've done 2 with him, and I'm always open to do one with him. It's just kind of space them out a little bit more.
Do you guys sell? Do you sell sausage and seasoning and everything? Like, do you guys sell a bunch of that stuff too?
Mm-hmm. We have a whole seasoning line that the Bodacious seasonings, and we're fixing to add our brisket rub in like next week. I've been working on the packaging for.
So is that based off of your recipe?
Well, it's a collaboration of one we have and some stuff I've done to one, and it's going to be amazing. And I didn't realize how long it takes to make real packaging. Like it's printed foil, and it's both sides, and you got to have everything just so perfect, and how much money it costs to make a damn label.
No, I can imagine. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's out of this world because everything we have, spice wise, and everything is top notch. I mean, it's high end, and I don't think a lot of people realize about spices, about how expensive they are.
No, I don't think they do, and I think people just think it's easy for Matt or for Jess or for those people just to put something together and pop it out.
It's so expensive. I mean, even my cost on this, the cost for this rub I'm about to make is like way more expensive than all the other rubs, but the quality of spice that's in there is going to sell itself. I'm not really worried about how much it costs for me.
Do you think you'll sell mostly at the store, or do you think you'll sell online, or is it?
I'm going to push online too. I think everything's moving towards online, and most people can get it online if I can reach out to them. But we also have 23 stores that could sell it.
Oh, that's true. It'll be at all the stores.
It's part of retail.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
If they'll buy it,
they will.
It's fun. I love doing that kind of stuff, like the research and development. That's what I always really wanted to do with food, but I fell into this, and I'm not going anywhere for a while.
No, it sounds like it's what a great story, and I'm definitely proud of you guys. You guys have.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's just what 2-3 years really for the new version of Bodacious.
I think we were a 2 weeks shy of being 2 years or something when the list came out.
Wow,
that was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Really cool. And man, there is so much amazing barbecue in this top 10. I always tell everybody that comes in on the Texas Monthly thing that you win wherever you go on the top 50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all such close competition, but we're all such good friends for the most part. And
it is a really great community. 50, it's a great community, and it's also really is a golden age of barbecue because there's so many places to go to. Like when I go to Texas now, it's mind-boggling. I don't even know how to put together a trip because there's so many people.
It's so spread out. Texas is. It's like California. I mean, you imagine trying to eat California in a couple days.
You can't.
You're not going to do it.
You can't. Not at all.
My next venture, I'm trying to get to Hoodoo Brown Barbecue. Mm-hmm. Represent the shirt. And I've never cooked a whole hog, and I really like the way Cody cooks them. And I met him at Texas Monthly Barbecue Fest, and I think we're going to do like a collaboration where I teach him boudin and he teaches me
Whole
how to
hog.
do whole hog. Yeah, and make a couple days out of it and make it an event where I.
Is Hoodoo in Connecticut? Am I
It is. It's in Ridgefield, Connecticut.
okay?
And man, their Instagram page kills me every day. They have their food. Whoever does their Instagram page
Yeah,
needs to
yeah.
get paid more because it just
It's gorgeous.
it blows my mind every
The
day.
plating and
And
everything.
um, Cody couldn't be any nicer of a guy. I really feel like if he was here in Texas, I'd be best friends with him. I mean, he's great.
Well, I need to reach out to him again. We've emailed it back and forth, but I definitely want to talk to him.
He's a neat guy, and I think he would definitely be worthy of a interview with you.
Wow, that's really cool. Well, and then so where else do you go in Texas when you have any free time, or do you have free time?
I just had another kid.
Oh, congratulations!
She's 4 months old, so and I've got a 5-year-old, so I'm on lockdown for now. But I'm planning a trip to Evie Mays because Arnis and I are become good friends, and I just respect
great
everything
guy,
he
yeah.
does. Dude,
Hardworking and smart.
they don't come any better than Arnis. We text a lot and talk shop and all that good stuff, and I've been trying to plan a trip out there. And Hutchins, I've never actually eaten there, but I know those guys. That's some of my favorite barbecue
Nice.
up in McKinney and Plano. I love all the Austin barbecue joints. I love everything that Evan Leroy does.
So unique.
Oh man, they're just. I love Wayne Mueller stuff at Louis Mueller. I love.
Have you been down to
Man,
Houston at all?
Yeah, Russell Regals is actually from Longview, so
Okay.
I know him
I
real
didn't
well.
know. Oh.
And he actually used to work for Bodacious. That's where he got his start.
His stuff
Back
looks
in the
great.
day. It is great. It's very good. I have not got to eat too much Houston barbecue. I've had it at the festivals, but you can't judge.
You can't judge it
festival
all.
food.
I would have, yeah.
But I'm really the one I want to eat at the most is Pinkerton's. I've had some of his brisket at the festival. They knocked my socks off.
And if you could do that at a festival, yeah.
Oh man, it was so good. And not only top of that, he's one of the best dudes ever. Like that's what I'm into. Anybody can eat barbecue, but you don't always get to have friendships like these guys.
And that's important. That's what life's about.
Yeah, that's what I look forward to is meeting the people. The food's a bonus, but the people are what I'm after.
Well, that's also too. That's why I do this, because I get a chance to meet you. I would never have gotten a chance to meet you, and then now when I visit your restaurant, it'll be we've already met and I've gotten to know you.
Yeah.
It's a little bit selfish of me, but it's also because I like to give this to other people. But for me, I want to meet people. I want to
Well, I feel like I know you. I think we text about every day about doing this interview. So I mean, let's just keep it going.
Exactly.
We're buddies now.
Oh, for sure. Most definitely. That's awesome. And there's a lot of gracious people. There's people that really want to support each other, and that's what this should all be about. I think, definitely.
Because name me another business where people are there's as much camaraderie as there is barbecue.
There isn't. There's
competing businesses. There is not
at all.
We love. I'm supporting a buddy.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the same business. I'm all about that. I wear barbecue shirts every day.
Well, so do I. Yeah,
not mine.
I've got this one on right now, but I definitely try to wear like any restaurant that I can order. I try to get because I want to promote people. Like last one I wore Cadillac. It's just cool. I just love wearing barbecue shirts, and I like supporting the industry.
I've got a snow shirt that Herschel actually gave me.
Oh, that's cool.
At the in 2014. He traded shirts with me, and I've had that snow shirt ever since.
That's cool.
He passed the day that my dad was buried, so it was kind of a touching story, and I got to tell Tootsie all that, and we shared a moment about that, and I still wear that shirt every week because it's special to me because Herschel actually personally handed me the thing, and
that's amazing.
And I've got a picture of me and Tootsie on the wall. I mean, I have so much respect for everything they do down there.
People don't get it. I don't think until they go, they don't realize how special it is.
No, they don't.
And how hardworking they are, and Carrie and Clay. It's a great team there.
They completely deserve everything they get. That's not hype. It's none of that. They are just completely genuine people. And if it was based on just how great of people they were, they would have been number one on that too.
That's true. That is.
Not just the
Oh, yeah,
barbecue,
yeah.
but I believe as far as people go, that goes a long ways with me and with my staff. In my reviews, I would rather have people say that they had an amazing staff over the food,
And that you're a decent
because
person, that you treated people well and treated customers well. Yeah, that's that.
we
To me,
get that a lot.
that's what I've
And
heard. That's what I've heard a million times.
we I have 5 employees, and that's including myself. I cut 90% of the food. I talk to every customer. They all know me. If I'm not cutting food, they always want me to be up there, or Scott or Brian. And I have formed a lot of relationships with people, and people trust me to give them good barbecue. And if I look at a piece of food, or Scott looks at a piece of food, or Brian does, and we wouldn't eat it, we'll throw it in the trash.
See, that's quality
Like,
control that you get, that people get. That,
we don't play around. We take it very seriously every day, and we want everybody to have the same experience at 10 o'clock as they can at 5.
that's great.
And I take pride in our brisket tastes the same, open to close.
That's fantastic. That's so cool.
It won't taste any different.
And see, also that's something that's unique with barbecue is that people can come and see the chef and interact with the chef, whereas with a lot of restaurants, a lot of businesses, you really can't.
Yeah. No, and we'll take anybody on a pit tour, open the pits up, let them touch the briskets.
I'm going to get that.
Anything they want to do. Anything that they want to do, I don't care. I mean, if you're traveling this far to come eat our barbecue, that's the least
means a
thing
lot,
I can do for you. Yeah. That is the least thing I can do for you. I'll tell you anything you want to know about how we cook it, because you can tell somebody something and them doing it, two completely different things. They're not going to do it the way you want
There
to.
really isn't, there's no need for secrets in that respect at all.
No. And I'll show them the whole process, and we just try to give everybody an experience like, when you go somewhere and you think in your head, like, I wish I could go look in the kitchen and do all these things. Well, all those questions that are in my head is kind of what I let people do. Like, I've already answered them for them. And let's go do this.
How special is that? That's super special.
You want to go look at what kind of raw briskets we have? Let's go open a case up and look at them. And anything you want to do here.
Well, they take that back, and that's a memory that they have for the rest of their lives. I think it's and it makes them, and it also marketing wise, it's smart because people definitely appreciate that and want to come back. But it's not all that; it's more the experience for people.
I mean, somebody might not ever get to come here again because it's so far. At least they can have that memory. I mean, at least I can help them with the barbecue memory and for the experience memory. I mean, our place, we have 27 seats. And it's not going to change. I don't care how busy we are. People are, well, you need more dining room. I'm doing pretty good without more dining room, I'm pretty hard-headed about a lot of that stuff. But I'll let people, if there's not enough seats, go sit at my desk in the back. I don't give it. Just enjoy yourself.
That is so great. That is awesome.
And I let people pick what side of the slab of ribs you want to eat it off of, what side of this brisket, what this, what that. I just try to cater to people.
That is awesome. You were just doing a great job, and I appreciate everything you do. And we've talked for an hour, so I think I really appreciate you taking this amount of time too. It shows what kind of person you are, so I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. There's Scott.
Let's see. Hey, nice to meet you. Hey, that was a nice guest appearance at the end.
Yeah, nice cameo, Scott.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it, and
thank you very much.
And let's continue talking, and I'll be out there in about a month or two, so I'll stop by.
Really?
Yeah. I'll probably in I think March, so I'll see you. Are you gonna be around?
Always. I'm always here. I mean, we don't have enough employees to not be here.
Okay. Well, I'll help out.
Okay. You might have to come in and do a little bit of work, but I guarantee it'll be worth it.
I would love it. That would be fantastic.
If you want to come spend a day and work with us too, you can always do that.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I will reward you.
Okay.
Anything you want to do.
Let's do that. Let's do that for sure. I would love to. That'd be a lot of fun.
And on this, we're taking in a guy from is it Latvia? Is that how you say that?
I guess, yeah. That's Latvia. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Latvia. He's coming in February. He's going to stay for 2 months and learn barbecue.
That is so cool. That is cool.
So you might get to meet a be named Kristaps.
That would be great. That would be really cool too. Awesome. Well, have a great day, Jordan. I appreciate it,
You
and have
too.
a good week. And we'll talk soon.
Just a warm-up hit. That's Danny Tanner. This is Bowser. And this is the Puerto Rican.